Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Sorry for the delay between the episode things. Typically, I will do them on Wednesday and put them up late Wednesday, but as you can see, life's been kind of kicking me in the butt lately. I just haven't wanted to do this, and you can see I'm still really irritated. I don't know if it's allergies or what, but anyways, let's get into it. With first, I want to touch on episode 5. I think 5. Yeah, 5. With the big lightsaber battle. I thought it was really good, actually. I really enjoyed the choreography. Um, Obviously, the writing and the weird stuff that is said at times is really odd. But I think Kamir is a huge standout for a lot of people, including myself, especially after episode 6. Um, but I thought his presence on screen was really well done. I enjoy the kind of spookier villain aspect that they are doing with him. His demeanor and stuff is really interesting to me. Um, I've seen people touch on the choreography and still not wanting to give it its credit for some reason, but I thought it was really good. There are your typical, like, let's, hide them behind trees or obscure them in the dark tropes that Disney tends to have, but, you know, I don't see that changing for whatever reason. And to be honest, it still looked fine in this setting. It was bright enough that it wasn't overbearing. Um, the whole scenes at the end of the duel with May and cutting her hair and like that is just kind of the typical nonsense that seems to just have to be in this show for some reason. And it looked ridiculous the way that it was framed and shot. Like they could have just not done that. It would have been fine. Also, the things that people had pointed out, and it's something everybody would have thought, given who it is that would Soul not have known pretty quickly that it wasn't OSHA? I don't know. We get a little bit more on that in the next episode. Um, but I think Soul, when he is on screen, is still pretty captivating. You could tell he clearly is not the straight-laced Jedi that a lot would have been, I guess, around that time. He is more in line with almost a darker Qui-Gon, which I think is interesting. But yeah, episode 5, I'd give probably a 6, maybe even a 7, just because I enjoyed it so much. I loved the inclusion, and I didn't know it at the time, of the cortosis material, like shorting out sabers. I think that's super interesting. I'd never seen that before. Um, and again, his presence when using it and the way he sounded in this episode wasn't near as cringy and weird as it was in that first episode. So yeah, I really enjoyed episode 5, and I would watch it again. So and then moving into episode 6, which I've also seen a lot of people not like, and I get it. It is a little bit ridiculous, but I mean, you got shirtless scenes of like Hayden in the prequels, so I don't really care. That is so low on the list of problems that the show has to deal with. It just doesn't bother me at all. Um, I I really like Kamir's performance and demeanor and delivery of stuff. I really like as this kind of like seductive, creepy, casual, like relaxed villain when you know what he's capable of. Is kind of off-putting. Um, and his lines didn't seem as jarring from what I can remember. Um, from a writing perspective, I still think OSHA and May's performance is lacking a little bit. It started out okay, but it is I don't know exactly what it is. It's almost like the way she's talking is makes it feel inauthentic. So I'm not sure what that is. But I enjoyed their interaction, and I think it's people also don't like it, but I thought it was interesting. Like you swap places, and you have the one that we've been shown to be like just a bad person over and over again. Like maybe start to come around to maybe she was wrong, and then you have OSHA with Kamir, who's like, oh yeah, all the stuff you're saying makes perfect sense to me, and it is all true from a certain point of view in my perspective. um, I think it's good, and people are mad that she put on the helmet, which, you know, I just don't care. Like, he states that it is you alone with your thoughts and the Force. He didn't say, hey, you put this on and you become evil. And she's like, all right, cool. I mean, she literally could be putting it on just to test his theory of, do I still have the ability to use the Force, even though I've been told and taught that I wouldn't at this point. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think they are going a bigger route with it, perhaps, and they will fully flip sides. But I don't think her putting on the helmet in that specific instance was too much of that. I mean, she stayed before that. Clearly, she was already invested. I don't think the helmet was that big of a deal. It is kind of interesting to think that Chimera was fighting with more or less blind just through the Force in the previous episode. That's pretty cool. And the helmet is growing on me. I do like the helmet a lot. I like the texture and the colors and everything. It's not one I wouldn't mind getting just to have sitting around. I think his costume is pretty boring, though. He's just, like, it is probably one of the most bland costumes that we've had for a villain. Like, Kylo Ren's was simple, but it still had a lot of thought and, like, a style and theme to it, whereas Chimera's just kind of wearing, like, robed clothing with a poncho wrapped around him, kind of. It's not really anything. Like, Kylo Ren stuff was like a very particular fabric that was visible, so it had a texture to it. He has the high belt, he has the ribbed sleeves, the layers, and there was a little bit more oomph to it, even though it was more simple. You could still see the thought, whereas I don't feel like you really get that with Chimera other than his helmet, which, whatever. But no, I really enjoyed episode 6. The stuff with May on the ship with Basil, I thought was a bit ridiculous and unnecessary. Like, Basil could have just told Soul, and for some reason he didn't. The weirdness of Soul calling the council and then leaving, even though he's the one who called them. They don't really illustrate to you why he's doing that in any way. So yeah, you could think on it, but it's not really shown to us in any way as to why that happened. So that's part of the writing and the weirdness. I think the show would have benefited heavily from them just releasing all of it at once, but they didn't do that. So we get to speculate and be unsure of damn near everything every episode. Next week we're definitely getting the flashback episode, and hopefully it's a satisfying explanation. Should get some fight scenes from what we've seen in the trailer, so that should be good. But no, again, it's the typical like weird writing stuff that and pacing and kind of plot presenting that is just really, really, really weird in this show. And honestly, everybody that has asked me to watch it, I have said it's, kind of a weird mixed bag, but you'd be better off just waiting until it is all put out at once. That way you don't have to have the same problems necessarily that we're having week to week. And I think that would probably help let you dwell on the good and not the bad as much. So, but no, I enjoyed 5 and I enjoyed 6. I think I would probably give 6 like just a 5, just plain average, nothing super special. I could maybe give it a smidgen more because I do think that the exploration of the dark side of things is more interesting. We don't get that all that often. So that's pretty cool, but just an average episode. I don't think it was anything crazy or terrible. Another thing, people are also losing their minds about 5 because he says that he would be called a Sith by the Jedi. I still just don't care. At this point, there's so many weird blurred lines going on that I'm just going to wait till the end and see where we land, because is he saying that he is a Sith, or is he saying that just because he's not a Jedi that the Jedi would refer to him as a Sith? I don't know. It still doesn't really make sense that the Jedi don't think that there are Sith around, because they could clearly see all the people on the planet were killed by lightsabers, but then they think Soul did it. So I guess in the Jedi's stupidity that maybe they would have a roundabout explanation. Okay, sorry about that. My microphone died, so I'm just going to end this off. Basically, I was saying that Soul, in the Jedi's nonsense, they think Soul did it, and maybe that's why they don't think that that there's Sith around. But we're just gonna have to wait and see till the end of the series. And we got 2 episodes left, so I will try to keep on for the next 2 episodes. So I will see you guys next week. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you.